Hey all, welcome back to the Rude Aussie Garage channel. And if you're one of the new subscribers, welcome to the madness. On the last episode, I promised that I would have some new additions, and without any further ado, looky. Yeah baby, new wheels. Tubeless wheels. 3-inch on the front with a Scorpion Rally STR, that's at a 120. And down the back, I'm running this big bad boy, which is a 170 in a 17-inch on the rear. Also got the brake calipers fitted. So with such a big wheel, one of the major problems is getting a chain to clear the tyre. Let me show you how I did that now. What I've done first of all is bought some 4mm stainless steel spacers and put them behind the rear sprocket, so that's offset that out. Then I've had my friend Gordon engineer this up on his milling machine, which is another stainless steel spacer. It's just under 4mm and it's a super tight snug fit onto the output shaft. And from there we also milled just over the width of the retainer out of the back of the sprocket. Now I say the back because normally they go this way. We're actually going to turn it this way because you gain just a little 0.5 millimeter of offset as well. It doesn't really matter, guys. I mean, it's all new steel and the chain will pull it the same. So it doesn't really matter. I mean, I'm sure there'll be people that say, oh yeah, it does, and whatever. Armchair fucking experts. So, get that to fit on there. Get our nut on. And the other thing that I did, to make sure that this would go smoothly, is changed out the sprocket sizes. So instead of the normal 530, these are 520s. It's an alloy one in the rear, a steel one in the front, and that just gives us a couple more millimeters worth of clearance around the tyre. So that only needs to be done up and the retainer pinned over the nut, and then it's just a matter of getting the chain on and getting the rivet link fitted, which is what I'm going to do next. Okay, there's the chain fitted. Black Bike Master from Japan. I think it was 120 links originally. I've cut it back to the 104 that we need. Yeah, 104 that we need. And it's got a rivet type master link, which I've yet to finish fitting up. It's pretty close. There's like right here. I mean, it could hit the tyre there, but I haven't adjusted the wheel yet on the adjusters. So, and I can make sure that that keeps that clearance there, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. We'll have about, at the end of the day, probably 4 or 5 millimeters, well no, it's a little bit more than that, 6 or 7 millimeters worth of clearance, which will be fine. So I think once it's all tightened up, it's really not going to be a huge issue. I want to talk about chain adjusters, and specifically these cheap, nasty pieces of fucking shit that Triumph decided were good enough for these bikes. I mean, seriously, this was some bean counter's idea of a fucking joke. We've all seen them, you know, they go on the end here and you do the adjuster here and it pulls the axle back. But they sit out the back and they look so dog ugly. I just didn't want that anymore, so I changed mine. Right, here's what I'm running now. This is more like the new modern Street Twins and the modern Bonnevilles. So my buddy Gordon milled out my swing arm and widened this a little bit. He welded in a steel block here, which we tapped with this stainless steel bolt and stop nut, Then he milled these aluminum pieces up for the little slider sections. The good thing about this one's open-ended, and it also captures the nut on this side, so you only need to do it up from one side, so you only need one tool. Quite clever. And I think we can agree, so much better than that. Chain is on. Spacers have worked perfectly. It sits really straight. I had plenty of clearance around the tyre, no issues there whatsoever. It's all good. Got the required 20-30 mil chain movement. It's still obviously a little bit tight because it's a brand new chain. I got my Joker machine cover on, which I custom painted black in the center and put the little black spaces on the back. So that's the drive system all done and finished. On to other things. So the exhaust is now 90% finished. This bracket here has to be cut off, and I need to put a new one about here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a mount off the bottom of this to here, probably just a piece of straight bar, slightly bent maybe, and it'll just pick up a little holder, nothing as big as that, right here. But I just wanted to see how it would sit, but it's sitting pretty good. It's pretty close to the body, which is what I wanted. Overall, I'm happy with it.
That's all, folks.